Tron legacy files and became species under the Strike Back Empire Foundation's teams, its leaderships, the Ford, the Rockefellers, the Carnegies, the people who built the infrastructure of oil, ExxonMobil by David Rockefeller Jr.'s ancestries at Rockefeller Foundation and Rockefeller University's Nobel laureate president. Carnegie, the rail yards, the legacy of MTA, fix it all at the same time instead of fix it in pieces. This is new Fix It Now program, MTA New York City subway cars. Legacy, Carnegie Corporation Foundation's New York City's heritage. Mr. Gregorian Vartan, President of Carnegie Corporation New York Foundation, Upper East Side, Manhattan, New York. Of course, Ford Foundation, New York, and MacArthur Foundation, Bob Colucci's. And how it cannot solve the problems of Empire, Szechuan, Columbus Avenue, 69th Street, and Columbus, where Fat Bessie, Bessie, kicked me out with his son, waiter, John, in a 10-table wooden two-seater restaurant, Columbus Lincoln Center area. And to emancipate from them, they emancipate from us, saying that I smell, but they wouldn't say that to Consumer Affairs or to any homeless or black person or any other person. They've been trying to say that from the very first day, like Starbucks and Apple stores and everywhere else. Like the Apple iTunes store, pay for service issues we had with Steve Jobs and Apple. That's the key speech for the Tron legacy files versus Frank Jr. from Caltech dropout here. And of course, how humanity redefines advanced civilization as watching dogs sniff the creases and cracks of lampposts, garbage bags, while the freedom on a leash versus on a leash without inside their homes is what humanity and its best friend does. One does the sniffing for bacteria and other watches it enjoying glee and pay salary to pay for it to eat shit, piss, and watch it do its leg show while sniffing for bacteria. This definition of advanced civilization versus this. Versus this, Android, Coral, marries Lieutenant Commander Data, different century from planet Earth, and different Android operating systems and electronic technology. First positronic brain, Star Trek Next Generation, Lieutenant Commander Data. Judge Advocate General, Star Trek Next Generation Enterprise flagship, tell Captain Picard that. Versus this. Versus this, my challenge for the 1,000-year celebration to see whether global warming can be used as the infinite source of energy by the global warming junk activities of humanities by MIT's 1,000-year celebrations. 1,000 years, the Millennium Project versus Jeffrey Sachs CEO Earth Institute UN Millennium Projects. Versus this, of course, Apple's A4 iLabs devices and all new iOS 4.3 request tells Steve Jobs and Tim Cooks. Versus this, IBM supercomputer Watson Beast, puny brains, the human trivial pursuit, talking about my feet versus my deer, talking about how I smell versus sitting next to homeless people who never smell. And that is what IBM Watson Research, where I worked once in Westchester, New York State, and its legacy of building a smarter planet. Redefining what a smarter planet in the broadcast for the Smarter Planet series versus the Animal Planet or Planet Animal series of PBS, and of course, Neil Shapiro, the president of PBS in New York City, public broadcasting system, and its TV series, Planet Animal. Here, we're broadcasting the broadcast on behalf of IBM Watson Research on species and orders of the new program by the Strike Back Foundation's teams on behalf of IBM's Watson for a Smarter Planet versus PBS TV series being cut by Obama's White House federal budgets to zero money. And all the private donors are given not to PBS infrastructure to outsmart the planet and the people walk dogs as redefinition of advanced civilization, but to, I gotta go now, and on my Apple stores. And of course redefine what dogs means to them versus Watson, building Watson.
Start signing out.
Okay, and I gotta go now, and I just gotta say one more thing, just one more minute. The fact of the matter about a smarter planet I wanted to say is the fact that if it's not a normal probability distribution curve for how people get on the train, and of course there must be an abnormal probability distribution curve with different standard deviations. what does that tell us? Adjustment function of nature's evolution. The random function has designed into the human brain by neural net simulating and computing the probabilistic function as non-normal probability distribution curve with non-standard deviations of for normal curve. And the fact of the matter is that is why that nature's evolutionary random functions by the Adjustment Bureau case authors of nature's evolutionary laws, topology of physics that gave us expanding and accelerating universe issues, has designed and pre-built into the human brain how they should all act as random variable functions being computed by each individual human brain's neural net software and brain firmware hardware. So these are the issues where these people think that they have self-control and self-consciousness, but they really don't. Under control, the probabilistic function design is a little bit differently, for each one has to occupy a different random variable or the same random variable equation that's inside a computer of each neural net of each humanities individual. And that's why Watson for smart brain versus building Watson, and why they are more complicated than the particles who don't have neural nets to compute as physics simulation Wall Street trading issues. There are physics particles with some neural nets inside, but also programmed as physics particle reacting to the environment of Wall Street trading environment, other particles as human beings. It just shows you that when humans trade on Wall Street, they act as even dumber than the neural net probabilistic function given by the case officer of Adjustment Bureau of Natures.